As a new animation student, we have always been told animating anything goes back to a ball bounce or pendulum. How is the walk related to a ball bounce? That's a very good question. So before we go, let's actually do a quick little talk on that because it is a good question. And it's one of those questions. Let's go on a little tangent here, a little bit of a story. This is one of those things that I've seen a lot of animators get frustrated at, where they'll be showing their work, asking for feedback, and someone will tell them, oh, incorporate the bouncing ball into your walk, or you're missing the bouncing ball fundamentals. And I remember there was one person who went, I'm posting my work. If anyone mentions the bouncing ball, I'm banning you, which is not the good attitude to have. The problem is that they didn't understand what bouncing ball principles they were supposed to be applying. And at first glance, it seems kind of weird. You've got a character walking through the scene. How does the bouncing ball apply to a walk? Well, it applies in a lot of different ways. And actually, let me open up. I think I've got a walk here that I can get to super quick. So, Twitch demos, the walks, and let's do the forward walk here. So, just going to bring this in, and we can kind of analyze a little bit of the walk and what we can apply from the bouncing ball. Now, the main thing when we think of a bouncing ball is we think of the bounce. That's the bouncing ball principle. Oh, it bounces. Yay. And this is where we get a little bit of a confusion when we look at a walk, because there's no bounce in a walk. The character moves forward and they're not bouncing off of the ground. They're going up and down, but no bounce. So we've got a walk here. So how do we apply the bouncing ball principles? Well, let's actually break down what a bouncing ball is. And this I'll just do here. So we've got bounce. And this is where Cameron, every time he draws a bouncing ball, it's like his arcs are perfect when he draws them. Mine are all wibbly wobbly. So you've got a ball coming through, hitting the ground, up, hitting the ground. Okay, etc., etc. We get it. So what are some of the things that we have to pay attention to in a bouncing ball? Well, one of them is that as the ball falls, the spacing is going to ease out, get faster, 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 until it hits the ground and contacts the ground. From there, it bounces up, and we go fast, and we ease in to the peak, and ease out again, going faster, faster, until we contact, and so on. Okay. That's part of it. Now, just with that, there's a lot of things we can get out of this. So, number one, when things come into the ground, if they are not going to be slowing down, they hit fast. You get what's called a fast in. This is an ease out right there, and then a fast in when it hits the ground. So how does that apply to a walk? Well, the hips don't hit the ground, but when they start to come down as they drop, they will get faster and faster and faster. So we can apply that in there. Let's go back to Maya here. So if I look at my hip control here and look at my translate Y, as the hip comes down right here, you can see that's where it's coming down, going faster, faster, faster. Okay. Oh, but it doesn't have the V shape that the bouncing ball has. No, because it has knees. Our hips have knees that absorb the shock and slow us down. So it eases in. Okay. But then why do we care about the bouncing ball like going in and speeding up? Because that's what the feet do. The feet don't have knees that will slow them down when they hit the ground. When your foot comes forward and hits the ground, it's not going to ease to a stop. It's like a bouncing ball. It just slams into the ground. So your forward translation here, as the foot goes forward, fast, 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 stop. It doesn't ease, or it doesn't ease very much. Same thing when it drops, you get a little fast motion there. Our foot moves a little bit more like a bouncing ball. Okay, so we've got different sections that apply to different areas. You've got this section here, the contact, which applies to the foot, and you've got this section here and the peak here, which apply to the hips. As you get that hang time of the hips, they push up, hold, come down. So we get that spacing in there. Well, what else can we apply to our hips? Well, there's the frame before and frame after principle, which is a very important one. As a ball comes down to the ground, we have the contact here. The frame before the contact, right here, before, is going to be more, or is going to be further away from the contact than the frame after contact, right here, as it bounces out. The reason is that as the ball drops, we lose energy in that drop. The energy goes out. Whatever is left causes the ball to bounce back up. Okay. Now, how does that apply to a walk? Well, that mechanic applies to almost any motion. So if we have a side-to-side motion, for example, our hips going side to side, the most extreme point of that turn, the extreme, is the same as a contact. A contact is a form of extreme. So our extreme point, as the character is turning, if we want a natural feeling turn, more often than not, the frame before the extreme is going to be further away than the frame after. Like that. It's the bouncing ball principle. It's the same thing. If you do the opposite and you put it here, so now there's a wider spacing, what this creates is the feeling that someone's been kicked or pushed, or an outside force has turned the character instead of the character themselves turning. Do we always have to follow it? No, but this applies. So let's look at our walk here. That's not our walk. I want our walk. Let's look at our hips and look at the side to side. Translate X. If we look at the most extreme point, the peak here, there's our peak. The frame before is a further distance than the frame after. On the other side, frame before is a further distance than the frame after. This makes for a natural turn. This makes it feel like the character is turning themselves versus someone pushing them. This also applies to a character pushing back up off of the ground. So their hips contact the ground, or not contact the ground, their hips go down to their lowest point. As they push up, you need to have that energy slowly build up. It's easier to fall than it is to rise. So we look at our lowest point. The frame before is a little bit further than the frame after. So we need to pay attention to that. And that comes down again to the bouncing ball principle. What other elements of the bouncing ball principle do we have? Well, we have just the forward translation. As the object rolls forward, we have that initial force that pushes the ball forward. And from there, it's just going to slow down. So slower, 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 slower to a stop. It just comes to a gradual stop. Unless there's an outside force that changes it, or something in the ball itself is alive, we're just going to come to a natural motion and to a natural stop. A walk is the same thing. Unless we have a push, all of our motion stays even and the same. So when you're looking at your translate Z of the hips, when a character walks, it is not perfectly linear. In this case, I made it perfectly linear because this is a game style animation, but usually you're going to have a wave in there. Now, why is that important? Because that wave is going to speed up when there's a force in there, and then it'll stay constant or slow down when there's no force. So if I wanted to add a wave to this a little bit, just to make it a little bit more of a natural walk, I would make sure to put that speed up here when the character is pushing forward, and not here when nothing is bringing the character forward. If the hip starts speeding up here, unless that leg is really kicking out quickly, it would feel weird for the hips to speed up at this point. There's no real outside force speeding them up. They've pushed forward and now they're letting gravity take over. So I can use that principle of the bouncing ball and that momentum to make my walk feel more natural. Same thing with the arm swings, all of that. So there's a lot of things that we can apply from the bouncing ball into a walk. And that is the beauty of the bouncing ball, is that it is not a bouncing ball in the sense of that's all it is. It incorporates all of these core mechanics and physics of movement in its simplest form, and in a way that's very easy to understand and analyze and compare with. So when someone says, oh, you're missing you need to apply a little bit more of the bouncing ball, it's a lot of that. It's all of these different elements that you have to look into. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. And then, like humans, quadrupeds also have the contact down, passing up contact. Yes. Now, creatures will all be a little different sometimes, because not even humans have that all the time. Sometimes your contact and your down is the same. Sometimes your contact and your up is the same. Sometimes it's contact up, passing down contact. That order can change a lot. So that's just kind of the vanilla walk order. Creatures are the same. For the default, like vanilla walk creature, yes, they follow the contact down, passing up contact. A specialized creature, or like certain creatures, they just move very differently, might not have that specific order. So that's where you study your reference. Look at your reference, analyze, look for the ups, the contacts, the downs, all of it.